kick it off in in 2 minutes here, just allowing more people to enter the webinar. I, I just want to welcome you all to our November webinar on leading teams as a person who stutters. I'm so excited to be co-moderating this one and also a panelist. Thank you all for joining us, and we're incredibly thrilled to talk about a topic that we haven't explored in great detail yet. Our panelists are all people who stutter, who lead teams. My name is Chris Monello. I'm a person who stutters, and I also lead a team. I work at Scientific American Magazine as the senior marketing manager, and I lead the consumer marketing team there. I live in New Jersey, and I've been involved with the NSA for the past 7 years. I started attending the New York City chapter meetings right after college, during a very challenging time in my life, interviewing for marketing roles at tech companies in New York City, while also being a person who stuttered, didn't have much confidence or interviewing skills, and I suffered from pretty bad anxiety. So what inspired me to join the We Stutter Work Board this year is really connecting with other people who stutter, sharing our stories and supporting one another. And I'll hand it over to Derek.
How's everybody doing? I'm Derek Mitchell, and I'll be co-hosting along with Chris. And I am currently in Atlanta, Georgia, and I work as a senior IT service analyst with a company called West Rock, and I've been involved with the We Stutter at Work committee for I think about 2 years now, and so it's been a great experience being a part of this team and being able to host these kind of webinars. And as far as my background, very similar experiences to what Chris just described. And so really, once I really got a handle on my professional life and how stuttering impacted that, joining this committee was a way that that I could give back some of the wisdom that I've gained as a result of my experiences. So it's a pleasure to be able to delve into this topic of leadership, which is one that that recently I have been passionate about, and to be able to introduce you to our panel, so that they can share some of their experiences as well.
Yeah, we just want to give you some background on the National Stuttering Association. So the National Stuttering Association, or the NSA, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to bringing hope and empowerment to adults and children who stutter, their families, and professionals through support, education, advocacy, and research. And you can visit us at www.westutter.org.
Okay. And just a few guidelines for the webinar. When you join, please make sure that you are on mute to avoid interrupting the flow of the conversation. For any questions or comments, please use the chat function throughout the webinar. And we do have some chat monitors that will be collecting all those questions that you might have for the panelists for the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. If you're pre-registered, you will be informed when the recording is available online, and they are typically available about a week after the the live webinar. And so our panelists this evening will be my co-host, Christopher Monello. He is a senior marketing manager at Scientific American. So along with being the host, he will also be one of our panelists and giving us some insight into this topic through his own experiences. We also have George Daquila, who is an engineering manager at, um, at Google. And last, Lisa Barone, who is a vice president of brand at Overit. And when we get to the panelist portion of the webinar, I will give each panelist a chance to introduce themselves by answering these 3 questions. What's the best thing about your job? What's the most challenging thing about your job? And what makes you a good fit for your job? Just to get to know a little bit about them before we dive into the real heavy questions.
So the purpose of the webinar is to inspire others in our community that they can achieve whatever they put their minds to. There are opportunities for people who stutter to lead teams in the workplace, to also discuss a topic that hasn't been discussed during our webinars, and to talk in depth about communication and anxiety of people who stutter and how this impacts their leadership style.
Thanks, Chris. And with that, I will stop sharing if I can figure out how. There you go. Wait a minute. Am I still sharing now?
I'm not sharing anymore.
Not okay. Good.
You're
Okay.
good.
All right. So that we can go ahead and give our panelists a chance to introduce themselves, and just let me know if you need a reminder of those 3 questions. So, Christopher, you can go first.
Sure. Let me just pull up the questions on my end so I don't forget them. Okay, so my name is Christopher Monello, and I'm senior marketing manager at Scientific American magazine. Just a little background on Scientific American. We're a science and technology publication. We have print and digital subscriptions, and we're the oldest continuously published magazine in the US. We've been in business for 177 years. The best thing about my job, I would say, is the people. So I get to work with really amazing colleagues from around the world. I get exposed to a lot of different cultures and a lot of different personalities. That way, the most challenging thing about my job is probably the multitasking piece of it. So there's the people management part. There's really the nitty gritty marketing part. So powering the campaigns and strategizing themselves, and then the corporate structure part. So working with finance, accounting, legal, the board. There's a lot of different facets going on, and then I think what makes me a good fit for my job is that I'm a detail oriented person, and to be a really good marketer, and people manager, you have to be detail oriented because there's so many different things going on at what's at one time.
Right. Thanks, Chris. George, you are up next. So that is what's the best thing about your job, the most challenging thing about your job, and what makes you a good fit for your job.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm George Daquila. I'm currently at Google, where I manage a team of engineers. I just joined there a little bit over a, a, a month ago. Prior to that, I was at Goldman Sachs for 6 years. Half of that time, I was a manager, and I also have a PhD in physics. So I'm a really big nerd. What I like best about my job is also interacting with others. When I was at the Goldman, I managed a team in India, so I actually got to go there, and it's just it was just really cool to kind of like understand the other office more, and to really be like out of my comfort zone. That's because it was like it's a really like different culture, and it was just cool uh, just to meet them, understand what they care about, and just yeah, it was just awesome. Um, Question number two was, what is challenging with my job? Um, I would say walking the line between people management and staying technical. That's because, as you move up, as you grow more, like you don't have as much like time, like actually doing the coding, and yeah. So that's a really like challenging aspect, is that can I stay sharp in my craft, and then also be a manager. And then why am I good at my job? I think that it really comes to authenticity, right? As a manager, I have to build trust with my team, with my management, with other teams, and I'm really out with my stuttering. Like I've done dozens of intros over the last month at Google, and I always say, "Hey, I'm George, and I stutter, and I'm really good at it." So it's a way to be authentic. I think that really lets me build relationships. So that's that. So yeah, that's me.
All right. Thank you, George. And now that I know that you are a nerd, next time I am see you at a conference, we are definitely gonna hang out because you're my kind of people. So definitely doing
Awesome.
that. And lastly is Lisa.
Hello, I am Lisa Barone. I am the vice president of brand at Over It. We are a creative marketing agency and in upstate New York. I've been there over 9 years now, kind of in a variety of different roles and managing like like different teams and types of work. I would say the best thing about my job is just getting to work with a wide range of clients, and just helping them to achieve, to achieve their goals, and to connect with the people that matter to them. I get to work with a lot of healthcare clients, and obviously just over the past 2 years, just really like being visible and kind of out there with with the right message has been has been both important and I think just kind of gratifying. The most challenging part of my job, I will steal Chris's answer. Just kind of say, like wearing just a a a a, a, a variety of different hats. Like I I work on a lot of parts of the business. So kind of balancing like client needs with the executive side of things. And just kind of being able to straddle both worlds. I think I think like I am a good fit for my job because my job is to literally help brands find and use their voice, right? And I think I think what what better person to do that than someone who has had to kind of struggle with hers. So I I I I I see myself as as being a unique fit for the work that I do.
Th- Thank you, Lisa. That is some good insight that 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 I had not thought of. So thank you for that. All right. So now we are going to get um into some more questions from our panel, and you guys just jump in as you want to answer. So we currently have about 4 rounds of questions, but if we see that there are a lot of questions coming in from the chat, then we may just cut this short and go straight to the Q&A, but we'll just play it by ear. So the first question for our panel is, how did you advance to your current role as a person who stutters?
I can take the first one, Derek. So I would answer the question two ways. I would say speech related ways to advance, and then I would say just sort of general ways to advance. Somebody's not
No,
muted.
that's some background noise. If everyone who is not speaking would themselves.
Perfect. Thank you. So I would answer the question two ways. I would say, several speech things that help me to advance, and then I would say just sort of general things. So on the speech side of things, um, I needed to first build up my confidence, in my communication skills. So I pushed myself outside of my comfort zone in terms of speaking to as many people as I could. Not even within the magazine, but uh, within the corporation itself, going up to people's desks and starting conversations, calling people on the phone, doing virtual meetings, trying to sit in on as many meetings as I could so I could observe as much, but just trying to sharpen my communication skills, pushing myself outside of my comfort zone and finding success and building relationships, I think helped me to advance to my current role. And then just sort of general things. I mean, number one, whether we're a person who stutters or we're not a person who stutters, I think uh, uh, hard work, is always number one. And I think learning as much as possible, being adaptable, because any industry in 2021 is rapidly changing. So just being able to adapt to different processes and people and structure and so on is pretty important in advancing uh, one's career. I would also add, um, you know, um, um, ad- advertising helped me as well. I wouldn't say to specifically advance my career, but just to again give me more confidence. Like once I advertised to my superiors and my colleagues, and also my team, it really took like a major weight off my back, because I know that I've definitely got their support and they understand what's going on. So it's all about building confidence. I would say, and that helped me to build even more confidence. Just being being open about my my stutter at work.
Thanks, Chris. George or Lisa, um, either of you can can go next.
Sure. I can go. Yeah. So you asked what did I do to get into a management role? So is that the question?
So, how how did you advance to your current role as a person who stutters? And as a caveat, just um um considering some of the challenges that stuttering um presented on that path to your current role.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think there was a definite change when I, like, when you're an individual on contributor? Are you working on your own work, your own like milestones, and then like that can only scale so much, right? So like it was kind of when I just kind of naturally started wanting to like lift up others also, and then like accelerate others work. Like I I don't really really like believe in like I'm the manager, I'm the boss, blah 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 blah. It's like when you build trust and your team really like believes in you, like I think that is 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 what is when you're really like doing well. And then like when I moved into Goldman, I was really out early on, or like in the interviews, and while I was working there, and yeah, I think that openness with my stutter earned me a lot of respect, right? That's because like what I mentioned earlier is like, oh hey, this guy is really authentic, right? Like like you don't come across as somebody that's I don't know what the right word is, but like somebody that's just like blowing like smoke, right? When you say, hey, let's do this meeting, and I stutter, so I'm I'm going to stutter is out of the line that I always use. And then in that you're really like trusting the listener there, not to like laugh and not to interrupt, and like I've just gotten excellent responses out of that authenticity. So I think like the items or one once I was like lifting up others, and then I was invested in my teammates' success, and just being out and showing that vulnerability.
Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that. And Lisa?
Sure. Um, so I think, like I think what I did that kind of s- has has served has like has served me well is, like like I like I sought out opportunities like that like that like that that did suit me, right? So like when when a lot of my peers or maybe like speaking, or they were very vocal in like like certain situations where I perhaps wasn't as comfortable yet, like I like I, I really grew kind of a brand, like via like via blogging and like via social media. So I was able to kind of establish myself in a kind of like 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 show what I knew and kind of, like c like connect with people, like, in a way when, like, kind of like without all of this, like, distraction, and I think that helped me to kind of, like, gain confidence in, like, what I knew and, like, what I had to say, and I think, like, it helped people get to know me and, like, get to know kind of, like, what I, like, was about, like, perhaps, like, before 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 that even, like, 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 knew I
Yep.
stuttered, right? And, like, once you know me, like, you see me and like, like, puts, like, the stutter kind of becomes an accent that kind of, like, like, fades a little bit.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. I'm loving the branding themes. It's got me kind of thinking about a few things. So I like that. Um, and our next question is actually pretty similar to one that was just posted by Peter in the chat. And so our question is that how did you gain confidence as a manager? And it's going beyond just speaking and stuttering, but just with the core skill set of doing the job as a manager. How, how did you gain that level of confidence to manage effectively?
I'll go first this time.
Sure.
I mean, I think, like, I think my, like, I think my stuttering has given me a lot of soft skills that make me a better manager, but I am a better listener. I am more empathetic, like like I I understand that people have unique struggles and like but but like better yet, like my team understands that I understand that people have unique struggles, and I think that makes them, like more like more open to kind of talking to me and, like 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 confiding in me. I think, like I, that I've really tried to kind of like like talk about my stuttering is kind of, in like coming from a place of strength. And I think that just kind of creates like openness and like but like like vulnerability among like the team that 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 I don't think like would be there otherwise.
I can go next. I mean, I think everything that Lisa said is totally accurate. I mean, like the soft skills that you gain as a person who stutters are real, right? And a lot of about managing is is those soft skills. And then I think one thing that stuttering has taught me is that I can fail, right? Like I've failed in so many speaking situations over the last 38 years, right? And then you have to keep going, and then so to gain confidence in management, as with anything else, it's just ex- experience, right? I mean, early on as a manager, I was super nervous. I wanted to, uh, to control every aspect of of my team, and all that, and like that obviously just doesn't work. So it's a lot of making mis, 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 mistakes, and then I think you should absolutely have a manager or a mentor who is more experienced, who can teach you, right? Because as you mess up, I can go to them and say, oh hey, here's what happened. How should I have played this? And my confidence as a manager and my confidence as a stutterer grew side by side. I think as the more that I disclosed, I became more confident, right? I'm like, I own this. Here's what this is. This is stuttering, right? I think that as each of those skills grew, they just kind of fed off of one another. So yeah.
And on George, as a follow up, so you just said that your confidence as a person who stutters and a manager kind of grew at the same time. So it wasn't a situation where you already had this certain level of confidence with your speaking and with your voice and brought that to the role. It had to develop while you were in that role.
Yeah, so I mean, when I wasn't managing, when I was at Goldman, I was pretty out. I was confident, but the the stakes weren't as high, right? Because it was my work, the kind of was my um, was my was my money maker, right? It was my actual the code. Whenever I became a manager, it was, oh, okay, can I advocate for my team? Can I do that in meetings? Can I advocate to my manager, to HR, to whatever? So the actual uh, tension level was really ramped up, right? Because I'm like, oh man, I got to do well by my team, and as an early manager, I was like, oh, I stutter. This is kind of weird. And then as I owned that more, and then I went into those more difficult speaking situations, my confidence grew, right? Because they were just much tougher, and then I just kind of like I just kind of had to get in there and make those mis, mistakes. I mean, and like and be like and be like timelines or are are like months and years to build that confidence.
Thank you for the answer. Thank you for the answer. Um, Chris, have we gotten to you get?
Sure. So I would echo a lot of the things that Lisa and George said. I would say a lot of trial and error. Being a brand new people manager, a lot of a lot of a lot of relationship building, right? So you have to build trust with the person. You have to recognize their own working style, and then how you can make your management style and their working style, meet at a happy medium. And it, it really goes back to what I had mentioned earlier in the webinar, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. Um, making those personal connections with your team, being completely transparent. Um, I would say something that helped me gain confidence as a manager was just having that transparency. So the more transparent I was, the more transparent my actual team members were, and we've ended up building very close working relationship. I respect them. They respect me. The other thing I would say is 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 a mentorship. Um, Definitely in any industry, any job, you can always find I somebody that has more experience and somebody that can guide you. And my current boss has been that mentor for me. He's aware that I stutter, and he's been very hands-on with helping me, to effectively manage my team and and build those relationships. So yeah, definitely just talking to people, being honest with team, being honest with your boss, finding that person that can guide you and support you is super important.
And along the same lines of what Chris just said, Carl just posted something in the chats saying that that kind of vulnerability can make others feel comfortable with us and allow others to be themselves. And this is actually, this is actually something that I personally experienced in my work when I advertised and was transparent. Is that it created a level of comfort with others and also inspired a level of authenticity in them as well. And so I can imagine as a manager that it could definitely have that same effect. And so we have one more question for the panel, and then we'll get to the Q&A. And I believe that this question is really one that people are curious about and probably will line up with the question that Tom McKee has has just posted, and that is, do you advertise to your team members? And if so, how have they responded to your um, story? And have you ever gotten any negative feedback. So
Sure. So I could kick off this one. I've definitely advertised to my boss and superiors, my boss's boss as well. I've advertised to my fellow colleagues and then people on my team. Uh, the amount of support and sort of nice words and just the entire response has been so positive. Um, I can't even convey it to you all, and it's allowed me to build really close relationships, with the other people within my team. They've actually been more transparent with me about things that are going on with them because they feel that level of comfort. Like like they've acknowledged how brave it is, to sort of disclose this and be open about it and to come from a place of strength and pride about it. So no, in my experience, no negative feedback. I would say people are actually more curious about it. They want to learn about it, and they also want to learn like how can they make me feel even more comfortable. And yeah, it's just been very very positive for me. Advertising at work.
George
Yeah,
or Lisa.
sure. I can go next. So, I mean, so we mentioned like the authenticity angle, and like we really come off as genuine. When it comes to like when you meet new individuals or in an interview, I mean, and just in general, one of the reasons that I just close is that I want to own that narrative, right? Somebody wrote that, like, individuals, I think that you're just nervous, or, whenever they don't know, they're going to come to their own conclusion, and I do not want that, right? Like I stutter, and I'm going to stutter in my interactions at work, and everybody who I've ever worked with has the capacity to understand that. So, like, owning that narrative is really important in 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 in, in my eyes. Um, and like, as was mentioned, like, when I advertise or I've given talks, so there's always this like new group who I haven't advertised with yet, and like, somebody always calls like IMs, or they want to get coffee, and some of my most wonderful relationships are because of of that. Somebody calls me and is like, "Hey, I have X disability, and I haven't told anybody at the office, but I'm comfortable with you." And like those moments are just unbelievable. Like, and like, it really really like builds your brand at your company if you're authentic. And like, when I was at Goldman, I was really, really out, and like, I was George, the guy who stutters, but I owned what that meant, and I'm going to own it at Google also. So I mean, like, it's like like it's me, so I want to own that narrative.
Mm, nice. Okay.
I think I think I am an odd d- like d- duck in this room. Like like pre-COVID, like I never like I would have never even thought to disclose or to mention it, because like people can tell that I stutter, right? Like I don't have, like a mild stutter. Like I have a in your face stutter, right? So like like pre-COVID, I was kind of, like I was open about it, and I talked about it, but there's like there was never like a talk where I revealed it to you. I think post COVID, when we're all kind of like like stuck in these boxes, like I like I have kind of gone into the habit of disclosing, just because I don't want people to think that there is an internet issue, or that my computer froze, or that I'm on mute. So I feel like disclosing in kind of like this environment, I think helps everybody just kind of like get, like get on the same page. I mean, I've I've really kind of always just thought that if people see that like that I'm comfortable with it, like they are. And so I think like I would have never even thought like to to advertise it, be, because I advertise it every day.
And I so understand what you're saying, Lisa, because I was the exact um same way until one day a coworker that I worked with for 2 years told me that he had no idea why I spoke how I did, and had no idea what was going on. He knew nothing about stuttering at all, and for 2 years was clueless and was too afraid to ask about it. So I felt so bad about leaving him in the dark for all that time. Now I just make sure to advertise, just in case that is one person who knows nothing about stuttering or speech impediments of any kind, just to err on the side of caution.
Yeah, no, and I think that's I think, but I think that's totally fair. I think I kind of like like grew up ignoring my stutter completely. It was a thing that existed, but like people like people didn't really talk about with me, or bring up, and I think I just kind of kept that as I've gotten older.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it kind of just fades into the background, um, um, like white noise almost after you've lived with it. So, yeah. Right. So guys, thank you for your thoughtful responses to those questions. Now the chat is really engaged right now. So we are going to go to the Q&A part of a webinar. So I've collected some questions from the chat myself, and I'm going to have the chat monitors to send me some more questions that they have collected as well. But I like to begin with a question from Tom McKee, and I'm gonna have you to unmute and ask the panel your questions your question about fluctuations in your speech and how it affects um, their work.
Yeah, sure. Hi. Good to be here with you all, and thank you all for sharing. It's been really exciting to be in this space and get all of your points of view. Um, have you ever experienced a moment in your career where potentially your speech is worse or manifests like your stutter is more apparent than at other times? And how have you managed to consistently perform in your day to day if, let's say, you're going through a month or 2 months of um, stuttering 2.0?
I can. Oh, I can answer this. Like while I was at the Goldman, whenever I started there, I was super comfortable. And then, as I mentioned earlier, whenever I started managing, I was still pretty comfortable when my like team was pretty small. But like my stuttering and my comfort with it oscillates, and those oscillations are months and sometimes years, right? So like I had a couple years where I was struggling a lot, and right now I'm like more comfortable. I'm in one of uh, the good good oscillations, but like I remember once I was going to give I gave an intro of Goldman to individuals with all these um, different disabilities, and like it was one of my like low days of this like trough, and and like I had accepted it like months earlier. I was like, oh yeah, I'll be good then, and I was not good. And I like I got up there and was like hey, I'm having a really rough stuttering day, but as all of you know, we don't get to choose when our disability impacts us. And like I think I was just being as 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 honest as you can be with others. When I was at Goldman, my manager was an incredible ally in my journey. I mean, like when we would have meetings, if I was more nervous and my stuttering was worse, like I would like tell him that. And like I didn't need any real action. it just made me comfortable that he knew. And I like told him that I said like all that I really need is you to know that I'm nervous, and it's because I stutter. So like I was as honest as I could be. Uh, I was like everyone who I really trusted.
Hi there, I have a question. My question is,
Oh,
stuttering at a
Mr.
young
Rim,
age. Sorry?
Hold on one second, Rim.
sorry,
Yeah.
hold on a second. Right now I'm going through all the questions just posted in the chat, but I promise I'll get to you.
And I got yours too, Rim, and I'm gonna send it to Derek if I haven't already, just FYI.
So Chris or Lisa, did you wanna chime in on Tom's question as well?
Sure. So, Tom, really good question. Um, I would, I would definitely echo what George said. So, I think finding an ally and support in your manager is super important. They can help guide you through those periods where you're where you're more disfluent, where you have more anxiety around um around stuttering. I can actually pinpoint now with my job like what quarters I'll be more fluent and what quarters I'll be less fluent. So I sort of have like a stuttering map for the entire year. I would say self care outside of work is really important too. Like during those periods where I'm having more stuttering and I'm stressed out. I do a lot of meditation and yoga, and that really helps me. The more ways I can reduce my anxiety. Me personally, my stuttering really correlates with the amount of anxiety that I'm feeling. So if I can control the anxiety, I can normally more effectively control the stutter. Uh, the other the other thing I would say, I mean, um, uh, for example, this week, or actually, all these virtual meetings are sort of blending together at work. But this morning, I was on a Zoom call with about 15 people, and we were talking about the marketing strategy for next year. So everybody is pretty passionate about it. A lot of different opinions. It's a fast moving conversation, and I was experiencing some disfluency this morning. So I didn't advertise in the meeting per se, but I had just interjected when appropriate and said, "Hey, I just have some important information I would like to share. I just need a few minutes just to share this." And that sort of makes it clear to everybody, okay, just be patient, allow that person to speak. So it really comes down to transparency, honesty, and trying to find support, and also taking care of yourself during those moments where your speech is more present and impacting you.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll just piggyback on on that a bit. I mean, I think like but I think, well, like one of the lessons that I've like that I've learned is to kind of like is to like to show myself some grace, I like I can be like like a good team member, like without playing every position on the team. And so that means like if I am having a tough like time, like I can like delegate a meeting, or like if I am like like physically tired from like 5 hours of talking, like I can like I can opt out, or like I can like sk- like sk- like sk- like schedule like my day so that I have some breaks in it. Like it's very easy for me to get booked into like no, like 9 hours of meetings a day, but I physically can't do that, or but I will be in pain by by the end of it. And I think just like being kind of an advocate for me, and like knowing like what I can handle, and like when I have to like say no, it's helped me. Like it's like especially in this you know like odd like work, like work from home time. Like like George said, he's kind of been like a good stuttering moment. Like I am not. So like I really had to kind of be like, hey guys, like like I can't do this today, or you know what, I'm gonna pause on like like speaking at conferences because it just feels like torturous for everybody involved, and like I'm thankful that I like have that like support support at work, where they're are kind of like like do, do what you have to do.
Thanks for the responses on that question. And so now we are going to go to our actually the first question that popped in the chat, which and that was from um, Emily Moss. If you are still here, you are welcome to um, unmute and ask your question, which I don't think I see her anymore. Okay, so then I will just ask the question, and and then after this one, Rim, I'll circle back um um to you, Emily's um um question was, when you first became a manager, um did you worry that people wouldn't take you as seriously as other managers?
I'm sure that's a really good question. Um, yes, to be perfectly honest, I was when I first got promoted to a people manager position, I don't think I was as confident with myself, and I don't think I was as confident with my stutter. I mean, I definitely advertised the people, and you know, I'd been pretty open about it, but I had never managed people before, so that was definitely, you know, something that I felt you know, insecure about and anxious about. And then, you know, being a person who stutters, I was afraid at first. You know, how would my team respond to me delegating to them during moments where you know, maybe I was experiencing disfluency, and you know, if the message wasn't clear, how would they receive it? I came up with all these different scenarios in my head, um, and then on top of the insecurity about, you know, my stutter, I was also insecure about my age. So I was much younger than the people on my, you know, and I'm still much younger than people on my team. So that was another sort of insecurity, you know, point of anxiety. Um, I think it goes back to what we had all mentioned before. Just, you know, building that trust with your team members, being as transparent as possible, you know, about your speech and what you're going through, and communicating as effectively as possible with you can, um, you know, as much as you can with your team. But yeah, to answer your original question, it definitely came to mind, but I realized that it was just, you know, all in my head, that anxiety, and people actually responded very, you know, positively to me. I can say today, after 3 years of managing people, that I'm confident in my people management skills. I think my team and I work really well together. So yes.
Okay. George, Elisa, anything to add on that one?
I mean, agree with Chris. I mean, like, you know, as I mentioned, when I became a manager, the speaking stakes were much higher. So my anxiety was also higher. Like I already knew my team, so there wasn't any like newness there, or like newness with my stuttering. I mean, I think it's just, you know, news. It was just like new situations. I stutter, so it's going to be worse when I get anxious. So that's it.
Okay. All right. So now we can circle back to Rim, and you can ask your question.
Thank you. Hi, folks. My name is Rim. I'm 36-year-old from Toronto. Hi, everyone. My stuttering has gotten a bit improved the last couple of years, but I still suffer from anxiety. And anxiety comes up, especially in speaking situations, when, in particular, when it's not my, what's the term I'm looking for? Expertise. Like if it's like I'm a mathematician by training. If you talk to me about mathematics, I'm not going to stammer. But if I'm in a big group and a certain topic comes up and I have to chat now, I still get anxious at times, and I feel like I have a general anxiety that stems from my childhood with stuttering. So my question is, do you guys believe that there's a link between the childhood and long-term stammering and general anxiety, that it can linger with you even as your speech improves?
That was a lot to ask, Rim. That was a hell of a question, my man. I mean, so to answer it, like stuttering is a journey, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like as I think it was Lisa said, for most of the first 28 years of my life, I never talked about it, and it was much more obvious, and I just plain out would not acknowledge it, right? And I mean, like whether that's tied with my childhood experiences also of like I never really like to talk about it as a kid. I mean, I would imagine. But yeah, I mean, I think that that anxiety, stuttering, and depression, at least in my life, have been linked, right? And then like I think that I had to have a team, right? Like I had my wife, who's an awesome ally. I had a great speech therapist. I've had regular therapists who have really helped me with my anxiety. So I think that like like as you mentioned, also like when you get into those new situations, yeah, it gets tougher, right? And like each of those new situations is always going to be tougher, and like you always kind of have to get that comfort. So yeah, so you asked a lot, so I hope that I answered some of that.
Yeah, sorry, I won't take too much more time. It's just I believe that a lot of people who stutter, the first time we ever felt anxious in our lifetime was when the teacher said it was our turn to speak, or when we had to go in front of the class and speak. So
Brutal. Yeah.
most kids, like my daughter's 6 right now, she's okay. She hasn't felt anxiety yet, but at the same age when we were 6, 7, 8, I'm telling you, man, it was a nightmare. Like it was like you couldn't sleep the day before a presentation. So I felt like there's a lot more scarring there at a young age, and I'm at peace with it now. Like it's as I started to share my story too with people that I stuttered, but I'm also good at some things. I have some strengths, I have some weaknesses. I don't really care what they are. Stammering was one of my weaknesses, but I do believe that there's a permanent anxiety factor that still hasn't gone away. Like it's still, I'm trying to, breathe and meditate and so forth and all that. But yeah, no, thank you for the answer. I feel like you did answer yes. That we got introduced to anxiety through our stammering, right?
Chris, or Lisa, anything to add? Well, thank you for your question, Rim.
Thank you.
Okay. Don't forget to put yourself back on mute. Okay, and our next question from the chat is from Tracy Wang. Actually, Tracy had a few great questions for the panel, but Tracy, I'm going to ask you to just pick one for the time being, and if we have time a bit later, then we can maybe come back so you can unmute and ask one of your questions.
Sure. So hi, I'm Tracy, and it's so nice to see you guys. I posted 5 of the questions I connected from some of fellow stutters in a Chinese group. So I'll choose one. So how you balance the fear of public speaking, the fear of stuttering, the fear of out of full control when giving important work presentations?
Hey Tracy, how are you doing? Nice to see you again. Yeah, so I would say the way I balance all the fear and anxiety around that. I mean, I typically now, because I think I've gotten to a point where I just I accept my speech for what it is. I used to prepare for hours and days and weeks before a presentation, and I know it works for a lot of people who stutter, but for me, I didn't feel like I was being myself. If that makes sense. I felt like I was sort of robotic, and I wasn't showing my personality. So I know this is probably, I don't want to say an unpopular answer, but it's not really much advice my answer, but I throw myself into the situation. So if there's a presentation, I will definitely prepare for it, but I wouldn't say that I'm memorizing word for word. I'm not reading off the slides. I'm just being trying to be myself in those moments, because if I try to over prepare, if I try to speak without a stutter, that isn't me, and that will produce more anxiety from me. And the more anxiety I have, the less fluency I have. And Tracy, if we don't have time to go through all the questions, you could always LinkedIn me if you want to send me the other questions, and I can send you some feedback on them.
Sure things. And also the follow up for it if it's fine. So when I was super stuttering, even I prepared a few hours for a presentation, but at the real time, I would still stutter a lot. So I kind of have a mindset that I shouldn't spend any of my efforts in the presentation, since I would stutter no matter how well I prepare for it. So now I know it's a bad mindset, and I want to hear something from you guys.
I mean, I think I fall like into the over preparing category. For me, you know, like I'm never like trying to not to not stutter, because that's just not my life. But you know, like for me, like like the more the more the more the more the more that I know the the material, the more I can focus kind of on like the like presentation part of it, and kind of being comfortable and kind of being like per, per, like personable. So I feel like if I, you know, kind of have like the content sort of memorized, I do feel like it, like 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 it helps my like like fluency a bit, but it really, I think, just like makes me feel like 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 more comfortable presenting it. I think kind of to like Graham's comment, you know, I still have that anxiety from like when you have to kind of like go around a room and like introduce yourself. I think that is like, you know, just like torture. So I think, you know, like kind of like being prepared, like I feel like I feel more like I am like performing versus talking, which I think helps me, I don't know, perhaps like just to kind of like lose that like like childhood trauma like of anxiety.
That's a actually that's a great um point, Lisa. That's a great point because I think that when I'm doing presentations and public speaking, I couldn't quite capture what that experience was, but I think that a performance is really I think that captures it um pretty well, which is why a lot of people are so shocked that I can give a speech in front of a large audience and be fluent and get off stage and talk one on one, and it's like um, night and day, because you know that was kind of a character on stage and not really me.
Exactly that. Yes.
That's a great way of putting it. Great, great. Like, well, guys,
Can I add just
sure,
one
yeah,
thing?
sure.
Yeah. So some of my most like spectacular um, bombs giving presentations or the ones where I like memorized every single word and I only like practiced on my own. Right. So I was like ready, but like where I was actually practicing was, you know, like anxiety was like zero, right? Because I was, you know, in my room and there was no anxiety. And then when I got into the um, classroom or the auditorium and when that like first um, block hits and I would the change of the word, like I was shattered, just absolutely like shattered, and would just unravel. So the ones where like I did much better at. I mean, obviously I knew my content, but I would like practice with people. Either with my like wife or with my friends who I trusted. That's because like alone, maybe with a couple like friends, and then like obviously the real things gonna always be tougher. But I think adding others who you trust is a really excellent way to kind of up the tension and work that out somehow. Because like I would always like know my stuff, but it was always the like tension that would get me.
Thanks, George, for adding that. And on that note, it is getting well. Actually, it is now 10 o'clock, so I think that we are going to go ahead and wrap this up. And and um and um and if this is incorrect, someone on the committee can correct me. But I believe this is our last webinar of the year, and actually will be our last one until next spring when we pick this up again. Is that correct, everybody?
Yeah, you got it, Derek.
Cool. Yep. So on this is our last webinar of 2021, and we will pick this back up next spring. But in the meantime, and I forgot to cover this in the beginning, we still have a lot of services and content still available. There are the mock interviews. We don't have a library of career profiles of people who stutter, as well as content for employer education as well. And you can find all that at westutter.org/career success. And so now I will turn it back over to Chris to close things out.
I'm sure. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much to our panelists, Lisa and George. Thank you, Derek. Thank you to our attendees. We really appreciate your engagement, your time. For everybody staying on so late. I would echo Derek. Please, please take advantage of the We Stutter work resources that we have. In addition, please go ahead and follow the National Stuttering Association on LinkedIn. You can follow our webinar updates there. We post content. There's some really good resources there, and enjoy your night, and thank you so much again. It was it was really great speaking with you all. Until next time, thank you.